Dear students, we will go through some of the questions in periodic classification and chemical bonding. First example, which of the following statement is false? The first statement, no inert gas is found in the seventh period. Second, number of valence shell electrons in a period is same. Number 3, 3b group contains 32 elements. And D, lanthanides and actinides are placed in the same group. So we'll have a look at the period table now. Now, according to IUPAC, the seventh period is officially complete. So this is the noble gas in the seventh period. So seventh period definitely has an inert gas. The second statement, the number of valence shell electrons in a period is same. So if you go across a period, the differentiating electron enters into the outermost shell of the same main energy shell. As a result, the electrons in each and every element will be different in a period. So you take the second period as example. Lithium has configuration of 2s1, beryllium has 2s2, and boron has 2s2, 2p1, then 2p2, 2p3, like that. The electron number varies from one element to the other. So in a period, it is not the same. So second statement is going to be wrong. And if I take third B group contain 32 elements, this is an important concept we need to know. So the 3B is this group. This is 3B group. So in 3B group, so entire D block element comes under B category of the groups. 3B, then 4B, 5B, 6B, 7B. These three will be 8. This is 1B and 2B. So S and P block makes as A group. So alkali metals is 1A, then 2A. This is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So in 3B group, I can see only 4 elements as of now. But you see here, after lanthanum 57, next element is 72. So entire lanthanides, whatever is there here, these 14 elements belong to same group. Same way, actinium, these actinides also belong to the same group. So 4 here, 14 plus 14, 28 plus 4, 32 elements in group 3B. And lanthanides and actinides are in the same group, that is 3B itself. So answer should be B statement, which is wrong. The other three are correct. Example 2. Zinc, cadmium, mercury. These three elements are not considered to be transition elements. What is the reason? So mainly, if you go through the properties of transition elements have the ability to show variable oxidation states. They have the ability to act as good catalyst. They show color property for their compounds. So this is mainly because of the presence of partially filled D subshell in these elements. Zinc, cadmium and mercury, these comes with D10 configuration. Zinc, cadmium and mercury, all of them comes with D10 configuration. So because of this D10 configuration, there is no vacant orbital. It is completely filled D subshell. So there is no electronic transition can happen to show the color property. Since D10 is there, no electron can be lost. Zinc, cadmium, mercury show only one oxidation state. So the properties of transition metal is not shown because mainly of D10 configuration. As a result, the reason for not involving them in transition metals is presence of completely filled D subshell. Incorrect order of ionic radii of the following is. There are different elements given in all the 4 options. We have to go with one by one. So first one, this is lanthanum, gadolinium, europium and lutetium. There are 4 elements in lanthanide series. So if you go with the lanthanide series, so you can see clearly lanthanum is here, then europium is here, gadolinium is here and lutetium is here. If you recall lanthanide contraction, the lanthanide contraction is the gradual decrease in the atomic and ionic size of lanthanides when we go from across the period along the lanthanides. That is mainly because of inefficient shielding of these f electrons. So there's a normal expected trend along a period in case of transition element. It decreases in the beginning, remains constant in between, and towards the end it shows an increase. Similar trend is not observed in F block because of ineffective shielding of F orbital electrons. There is a continuous decrease in the size of lanthanides from lanthanum to lutetium. So europium and gadolinium. So europium should be higher in size compared to gadolinium. If you see the options, it is reverse. So europium should be left and gadolinium should be later. So this is the option which is wrong, but we'll see, go through this also. So you can see here sodium, lithium, magnesium, aluminum, beryllium. So sodium and lithium are monovalent cations. Magnesium and beryllium are divalent cations. Aluminum is 3. So their presence in sodium and magnesium, aluminum are in the third period. Lithium and beryllium are in the second period. So lithium and magnesium, it's a diagonal series, diagonal relationship. Lithium, magnesium are almost of same size, but lithium is slightly larger than Mg2 plus. But aluminum 3 plus definitely less in size compared to Mg2 plus. Beryllium is having 2 positive charges and a small size. Effective nuclear charge is much more, which is much smaller than lithium. So that is the least sized ion. So Na plus is the greatest among all the given thing, then lithium, then Mg, aluminum and P2 plus. Indium, tin and antimony, they are in the group. So, and moreover you have 1 plus, 2 plus and 3 plus. Charge is increasing, so more the number of electrons being removed, definitely the size decreases. It's also correct. This is also correct. Then if you take here potassium, scandium, vanadium, manganese, they are in the same fourth period. Potassium monopositive charge, scandium divalent, vanadium 5 plus, Mn 7 plus. So definitely Mn 7 plus, if it exists, has to be the least sized ion. So this order is also correct. So option A is the wrong order. Which of the following anion has the smallest size? So H minus, F minus, Cl minus and Br minus. So now mostly we think of hydrogen minus. Hydrogen has only 2 electrons. F minus has several electrons. Cl, Br obviously larger in size. If I take F, Cl, Br, the order should be F minus, smallest, Cl minus, then Br minus. But where do we place H minus? H minus only 2 electrons, but I can't take it as least because the nuclear charge is also less. So hydrogen has only 1 proton, hydrogen H minus has 2 electrons. So effective nuclear charge experienced by each electron is less. So the electron cloud is definitely larger in size. So F minus is the smallest, then it is H minus, then Cl minus, then Br minus. So hydride ion is not the smallest ion, fluoride ion is the smallest anion. So answer should be FHClBr, the smallest one is F minus. So answer should be B. Example 5. Successive ionization energies of an element A given 100 eV, 150 eV, 185 eV, 2000 eV, 2300 eV. So I'll write down that. So first is 100 eV, then it is 150 and 185, then 2000, then 2300. So here difference is 50, here difference is 35, here difference is too large. So 185, 200 means 1800, 1815. then from here to here is 300 eV. So when the maximum jump between two ionization energy occurs, that indicates the atom attained octet state. So it should have 3 plus as the stable oxidation number. So this what are the options we have to check? So element A may be a metal. Possible. So formula of oxide of A is A2O3. So if I say A3 plus is the stable charge, O is 2 minus, the formula of the oxide will be A2O3. So it can be aluminium metal which can exist as Al3 plus, and Al2O3 is this formula of oxide, and the oxide of element may be amphoteric. So aluminum oxide is amphoteric. So answer should be D. All the above three statements are absolutely matching for the given data. So answer should be option D. So remember, where there is maximum jump in the successive ionization energies, that corresponds to the noble gas configuration. Which of the following statement is not correct? So ionization enthalpy of neutral atom is always positive. Ionization enthalpy of neutral atom is always positive. It is obviously right answer. No atom can have negative ionization energy values. First IE value of monovalent cation is equal to second IE value of corresponding neutral atom. So what is neutral atom? Let us say M is a neutral atom. So if I take IE1, this becomes M plus. If I go to IE2, this becomes M2 plus. So what is asking here? The first IE value of monovalent cation. This is a monovalent cation. For this is first IE1. And for this is same as IE2 of the neutral atom. So obviously second statement is right. Second IE of monovalent cation is equal to first IE of bivalent cation. Second IE of monovalent cation. So I'll start with monovalent cation. So IE1 for this becomes M2 plus, then IE2 becomes M3 plus. So what they're asking for, second IE of monovalent cation. So this is IE1 of M plus, IE2 of M2 plus. This one if I take M2 plus, this one it's going to be IE1. So IE1 of divalent cation is same as IE2 for monovalent cation. So even that statement is also right. Ionization energy of ion is always positive. So here we don't have to consider only positive ions. If I take a negative ion, what happens? If I take M minus, removal of one electron, IE1 becomes M. So if I take reverse is electron affinity values or electron gain enthalpy. If electron gain enthalpy of an atom is positive, then IE1 for that metal ion is that anion should be negative. So you can clearly say that I cannot conclude ionization energy of any ion is always positive. It can be negative for anion where electron affinity of the neutral atom is positive. So this is the wrong statement. Answer is D. Example 7. Which of the following have highest liberation of energy, which is highly exothermic? So given 4 different changes are given: O plus to O minus, N plus to N, He to He minus, and P to B minus. So we'll take first one, O plus to O minus. O plus gaseous to O minus gaseous. So it is happening 2 steps. O plus gaseous becoming O gaseous becoming O minus gaseous. So O plus to O is an exothermic because O to O plus is ionization energy, which is positive. So if I take the reverse, it has the same value but negative. And O to Y minus is also exothermic because first electron gain enthalpy of oxygen is quite highly negative. So both combination gives higher liberation of energy. The second one, if I consider, so N plus to N. So N to N plus is definitely again a E1 of nitrogen. This is also exothermic. But the total amount of energy is here. Two steps are going to be exothermic. O plus to O minus will have higher liberation of energy than N plus to N minus. The third one, He to He minus. He is already having NS2 configuration. It has a least tendency to accept one more electron. This is endothermic. This cannot be exothermic. And P to P minus, even P is also having NS2 NP3 configuration, half filled state of P subshell. It has a least tendency to accept an electron. For P to P minus is also going to be positive, that is endothermic. So answer should be A, O plus to O minus, having highest energy being liberated. Example 8. If the bond energies of AA, BB and AB are given as 144, 100 and 210 kilocalories, the electronegativity of B is given as 4 units in Pauling scale. What is the electronegativity of A? So it is a Pauling scale of electronegativity. We have to approach with the bond energy values. According to Pauling scale, using the bond energy, we have 3 bond energies now. EAA is 144 kilocalories and BB is 100 and EAB is equal to 210. So theoretical calculation of EAB is equal to square root of EAA into EBB. If you calculate this, EAA is 144 into 100. 144 square is 12. 144 square root is 100 square root is 10. So it comes to 120 kilocalories. Now, if the electronegativity of A and B are same, then experimental bond energy of EAB should be exactly equal to 120. Since A and B are two different elements, they will not have same electronegativity. So actual bond energy is going to be much higher than 120 kilocalories. Actually given is 210. So if I take the difference, 210 minus 120, that comes to 90. So because of difference in electronegativity, the bond energy of A and B atoms is increased by 90 kilocalories per mole. So this is called as the difference in bond energy delta. So we have a formula for kilocalories. So difference in electronegativity of A and B is equal to 0.1017 into square root of delta. So 0.208 will also be used if that is in kilojoules per mole. If it is kilocalories per mole, we have to use 0.1017. So if you calculate that, 0.1017 into square root of 90, this is close to 8. So 81 is square root of 81 is 9 point something, 0.1017, this comes to 0.96. So we have given the difference. This is B, this is A, higher first, and this is lower. This is 4 minus electronegativity of A is 0.96. Difference is 0.96. So electronegativity of atom A is 4 minus 0.96, which is equal to 3.04. Approximately, you can take it as 3. So 3 would be, say, chlorine. So the answer should be 3. So based on bond energies, we can calculate, remember one formula, the difference in electronegativity of two atoms is equal to 0.1017 into root of delta if it is in kilocalories per mole, and this should be replaced by 0.208 into root of delta, then this will be in kilojoules. This is for kilocalories. Which the following order of ionic radii is correct? So they have given potassium ion, sodium ion and lithium ion, but very clearly mentioned they are in aqueous medium. So we'll go to the concept. If I take gaseous medium of ions, so obviously lithium ion is the smallest, then sodium ion, then potassium ion, then rubidium ion, then cesium ion. This is in gas phase. But in aqueous phase, what happens? Lithium is small size ion, but because the positive charge is same, the charge density is very high. In aqueous medium, it will attract the water molecules and get hydrated. This is a layer of water. Hydrated lithium. So because of charge density is more, charge by size ratio is highest for lithium, the extent of hydration is also very high. So hydrated lithium is larger in size. So if I take Li plus aqueous becomes largest ion, then Na plus aqueous, then K plus aqueous, then Rb and cesium. So according to the given question, lithium should be highest, then sodium, then potassium. So answer should be A. So lithium is the largest, then sodium, then potassium in aqueous medium. So in aqueous medium, the ionic size gets the opposite order as that of gaseous medium. So answer should be A. Example 10. A, B, C are oxides of elements X, Y and Z. So three oxides corresponding to three elements X, Y and Z. A gives an aqueous solution whose pH is less than 7, means it is giving acidic solution when you dissolve oxide in water. The oxide of B can react with both strong acid as well as strong alkali. And oxide C gives a strong alkaline solution in aqueous medium. So based on this, we have to select the correct statements. So we'll see the statements. The three elements are metals. The electronegativity decreases from X to Z. The atomic radius increases from X to Y, Y to Z, and X, Y, Z could be phosphorus, aluminium and sodium. So go back to this. A gives aqueous solution whose pH is less than 7, means the oxide is forming an acidic solution. So generally we know non-metallic oxides give acidic, metallic oxides generally basic. So if you go through the question, A should be non-metallic oxide, that means X should be a non-metal, and B and C can be metallic. Metallic oxides can be even amphoteric as well as basic. As a result, I can say three elements. This is wrong. The electronegativity decreases from X to Z. So if you see the trend in the periodic table, towards the left you have metals, towards the right we have non-metals. So metallic character decreases from left to right. So non-metal should be towards the right. So electronegativity decreases from X to Z. Atomic radius increases from X to Y and Y to Z. Atomic radius decrease across the period. So atomic radius increases from X to Y, Y to Z, and X, Y, Z could be phosphorus, aluminium, sodium. So phosphorus oxide is acidic, it will form H3PO4, as the acid. Aluminium oxide is amphoteric. It is going to form Al2O3. It can be amphoteric oxide. Sodium oxide is forming strongly basic solution. So the option D, X, Y, Z elements perfectly matching for the given situation. So option D should be the right answer. So X, Y, Z could be phosphorus, aluminium and sodium. Which of the following is not correctly matched with respect to intermolecular forces existing among the molecules? So the molecule is given and types of forces acting between the molecules are given. It's a conceptual question. Benzene, it is London dispersion forces, that is weak intermolecular forces. Hydrogen bonding. So benzene, can we have hydrogen bonding? Absolutely no, because CH bonds are there. There is no H attached to oxygen, nitrogen or fluorine. So hydrogen bonding is not possible for benzene. So option A is an incorrect match. We'll see the other three also. Orthophosphoric acid, there is H3PO4. So between the two molecules, London forces can exist, but along with London forces, H3PO4 can be held by intermolecular hydrogen bonding because there are OH groups. So H3PO4 is P with one H3PO4. The structure is P double bond O, OH, OH, OH. So this OH bond can form hydrogen bonding. Like this. So hydrogen bonding is possible, London force is possible. If I take benzene, no question of hydrogen bonding. There is no OH or FH or NH bonds. Then hydrochloric acid, London forces, dipole-dipole interaction. HF will form hydrogen bonding, HCl will not form hydrogen bonding. So HCl will be delta minus, delta plus, a dipole, and other dipole can interact delta plus, delta minus. There is an interaction between these two. So dipole-dipole interaction possible, and iodine molecule only London forces. There is no dipole, it is I2. It's a homonuclear diatomic molecule. So only possibility is London dispersion forces. So answer should be A, which is an incorrect match. There is no hydrogen bonding in benzene. Example 2. Which of the following gases cannot be collected over water? So if I want to collect over water, the gas should not be reacting, or gas should not have high solubility in water. If I take hydrogen, methane, nitrogen, hydrogen chloride, we can clearly make out hydrogen chloride because of its polarity, HCl gas. When you add to water aqueous medium, it becomes H plus aqueous and Cl minus aqueous. It becomes hydrochloric acid. So very high solubility for HCl in water. So I cannot collect hydrogen chloride gas above water in any experiment. So answer should be D. Example 13. Which of the following orders of lattice energy is not correct? Example 13. Which of the following orders of lattice energy is not correct? So first one, I'll take NaCl and Na2s. NaCl, Na2s. So here it is monovalent cation, monovalent anion. Here monovalent cation, divalent anion. So the charge on the ion increases, the attraction power increases, the lattice energy increases. So lattice energy is also given by lattice energy is equal to Q1 Q2 by R. So as a result, as the charge of the ion increases, the lattice energy increases. So first order is fine. Second, Kf, Lif, MgO. Kf, Lif, MgO. Here 2 plus 2 minus. Both are divalent. Size of ion is also smaller for Mg2 plus, O2 minus relatively big. So Q1, Q2 is maximum. This will have highest lattice energy. So among these two, F is common, K and Li. So charge is same, Q1, Q2 is same, R is the one which is going to matter. So Li is being smaller, small ion, the distance is less. So distance is less means lattice energy is more. F will be more than Kf. So this is Li is small, this is large. So R value is less for LIF compared to KF. So this order is also correct. The third one, Na2S MgCl2. So here you can say Q1, Q2 is same. This is two positive charges, two negative charges. Here also two positive and two negative. So size of the ion you take, sulfide ion S2 minus, Cl minus. S2 minus is bigger in size, Cl minus is relatively small in size. So Na and Mg you take, Mg2 plus is smaller in size, Na2S, Na plus is bigger in size. So because of sulfide ion being larger, and also you have Fajan rules, ionic character is more for Na2S compared to MgCl2. Due to higher ionic character, lattice will be strongly attracted, electrostatic force are stronger. So Na2S should have higher lattice energy than MgCl2. So the answer should be C, it should be other way around, which is wrong. And fourth one, MgO and AlN. MgO, AlN, so it's going to be 3 plus 3 minus, this is 2 plus 2 minus, so charge is again more, Q1, Q2 are more, this is going to be more than MgO. So among the given option, the Na2S and MgCl2 is the incorrect order. Apart from that, other three orders are absolutely correct. Answer should be C. Which of the following statement about LiCl and NaCl are wrong? So you know LiCl is having predominantly covalent character than NaCl. So it's a conceptual question. So since LiCl has predominant covalent character, LiCl will have relatively lesser melting point than NaCl. We learned earlier in the synopsis part, the ionic compounds will have higher melting and boiling point, covalent compounds will have relatively lesser boiling point and melting point. So LiCl is having higher degree of covalency than NaCl. It has a lower melting point than NaCl. That's a correct statement. Because of higher degree of covalency, LiCl can also be dissolved more efficiently in organic solvent, but NaCl will not dissolve in organic solvent. This is also correct statement. LiCl would ionize in water less than NaCl. Though it is degree of covalency is more, the hydration of lithium ion is more than sodium ion. Hydration enthalpy of lithium is much higher than NaCl, Na plus enthalpy, hydrogen enthalpy. Cl minus is a common ion. Because of higher hydration energy, the lithium chloride would also equally dissociate in water as that of NaCl. Because of hydration energy more than lattice energy for both of them, both will have higher solubility in water. So this is the wrong statement. Fused LiCl will be less conducting than NaCl. Because of higher covalency in fused state, the dissolution, even conductivity of Li plus in fused state, not hydrated state, in fused state Cl minus would be less compared to NaCl. This is also correct statement. Because of higher degree of covalency in LiCl, the conductivity is also relatively lesser. So option C is the wrong statement among the given options. 15th example, the correct order of decreasing covalent character in these molecules. So you are given with silicon chloride, aluminum chloride, zinc chloride, calcium chloride and magnesium chloride. So all are chlorides. So what are the ions given? Silicon SiCl4, MgCl2, AlCl3, then CaCl2 and MgCl2. Sorry, one more I missed out. ZnCl2. So if you take the cations, silicon 4 plus, Mg2 plus, Al3 plus, Zn2 plus, Ca2 plus. So silicon 4 plus has a high degree of polarizing power. So Si4 plus should have predominantly covalent character. So this is obviously high. Like CCl4, SiCl4 also predominantly covalent molecule, tetrahedral molecule. After that it is aluminum 3 plus, AlCl3 is also predominantly covalent, dimer formation is there because of high charge on cation, polarizability will be high, polarizing power will be high for these cations. As a result, covalent character is maximum for Si4 plus and Al3 plus. And all the other three are cations, that is two positive charge cations. So if you see the cation, the charge is same, you have to see the position of the element in the periodic table. So calcium and magnesium are alkaline earth metal, they are highly metallic, they form predominantly ionic compound. Zinc is a transition metal atom. Definitely the covalency of zinc chloride is more than magnesium and calcium. If I take magnesium and calcium, they are in the same group. So magnesium is above calcium, calcium is down the group. So as you go down the group, ionic character increases. So calcium will have the least ionic character, then silicon will be the highest. So order should be, I would say, silicon is highest, then AlCl3, then ZnCl2, then MgCl2, the least would be calcium chloride. This is the order of covalent character. So let us see the options. So you can see option D, SiCl4, AlCl3, ZnCl2, MgCl2, CaCl2. So option D is the right answer. 16th example. According to Fajan rules, the electrovalent bond is favored by. So what does Fajan rule says? Fajan rule says the smaller the size of the cation, higher is the polarizing power. Larger the size of anion, greater will be the polarizability. If these two conditions are there, definitely it introduces higher degree of covalent character. Opposite will give ionic character. So size of the cation should be larger, size of anion should be smaller. And also the charge on the cation will matter the most. So charge on the cation is higher, the polarizing power will be high. So charge by size ratio is called as polarizing power. So charge by size is polarizing power. So higher the polarizing power, it introduces covalent character. So the first element in the alkali metal, alkaline earth metal, that is lithium and beryllium compounds are predominantly covalent because of their high polarizing power. So if you see the option, low positive charge, so that will ensure charge by size ratio is less. Small size of cation and large anion. So small cation, large anions will give covalent character. Low positive charge, large cation, small anion. This will favor ionic compound formation. High negative charge means size becomes very large, and large cation, large anion, then again polarizability will be more for anion. Because of cation is also large here, polarizing power is relatively less, but still the relatively higher degree of covalency will be there because of larger anion. High positive charge, this only rules out because of high positive charge, the polarizing power will be maximum, so it will become predominantly covalent compound. So according to the given option, it should be low positive charge, large cation and small size of anion. Option B should be the right answer. So Fajan rule says smaller the size of cation, higher will be the polarizing power, that is charge by size ratio is higher, polarizing power is high, it will give predominantly covalent compounds. Which of the following is an example for superoctet? So we have given 5 compounds and options are given. ClF3. So what is the hybridization of this? So ClF3. So we learned one formula for finding the hybridization so that I can identify the number of electron pair. Chlorine number of valence electron is 5. Yes, 7. NS2NP5 for chlorine, halogen, plus 3 monovalent atom, cation anion is 0. So 10 by 2, which is going to be 5. 5 means sp3d. sp3d means 5 pairs of electron around the central atom, so it is a superoctet. Then PCl5, definitely we have learnt it as 5 bonds. This also superoctet. 5 bonds, so 10 electrons around the central atom. IF7, so 7 bonds around iodine. Pentagonal bipyramid sp3d3, so definitely it is going to be superoctet. 14 electrons around iodine. XeF4, what is the hybridization? Xe number of electrons are 8 plus 4 12, 12 by 2 equals 6, so it is sp3d3. So though there are 4 bonds with fluorine, there are 2 more lone pairs, so this also is superoctet. And SiCl4, silicon tetrachloride, silicon has 4 electrons in the valence shell, 4 bonds, it has only 8 electrons in the outermost shell. So answer should be A, B, C, D. E is not, so answer should be D. So superoctet are the molecules where the central atom has more than 8 electron in the outermost shell. In the following compound, the number of sigma and pi bonds respectively equal to. So the compound is C double bond C. This is nothing but 2 cyanide groups. Cyanide will be C triple bond N. This also C triple bond N. Then this is going to be C2H5, CH, CH, H, C2H5. Then this is M metal carbonyl, C triple bond O, C triple bond O, C triple bond O. This is the expanded structure of the same molecule. So let us count the pi bonds. Here 2 pi bonds, here 2 pi bonds, here 1, here 2 pi bonds, 2 pi bonds, 2 pi bonds, here 0, 2 plus 2 plus 2, 6, 6 plus 4, 10, 10 plus 1. So there are 11 pi bonds. Sigma bonds 1, 1, 1. So here 1, here 1, here 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Here also 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 sigma bonds. So answer should be 19 and 11, option A. So this type of finding the number of sigma bonds and pi bonds can be asked with different kinds of molecules. Which of the following combinations of orbitals do not form a pi bond? So very clearly given if x-axis is considered to be the molecular axis. If x-axis is molecular axis, by default if I take all the convention of MOT works with z-axis is being molecular axis. But here in this problem x-axis is taken as molecular axis. If x-axis is taken as molecular axis, then 2px will involve in only sigma bonds. 2py and 2pz can involve in pi bonds. So if you take a look at the given option, 2pz can form pi bond because x-axis is molecular axis, 2pz will form pi bonds. So this will form pi bond. 2px as we wrote now, this always forms sigma bonds. So 2px will form only sigma bonds. 2py with 2py will be again pi bond. 2py and 3dyz. So it is d pi p pi bond. 2py 3dyz. So it comes like this. This is a 2p. This is a 3d. This is the kind of overlapping. So pi orbitals are involved in p pi d pi bonding. So option should be 2px which is involved only in sigma bond formation. Answer is B. Which of the following set of species have same hybridization state but different shapes? So you have to find the hybridization of all the molecules in a given set of options. So first one NO2 plus, NO2 and NO2 minus. So NO2 plus, NO2, NO2 minus. So if you take NO2 plus, what is the number of electrons in the outermost shell? This is 5. Number of monovalent atoms are 0 and charge is 1. 5 plus 1 by 2 is going to be 6 by 2, which is 3. So nitrogen outermost shell is 3, sorry. Outermost shell is 3, 1s2, 2s2, 2p3. Okay. 7 is the atomic number. So 5 is the number of outermost electron. 5 plus 1. So I have to subtract the positive charge. 5 minus 1 by 2, which is equal to 2. So it is sp hybrid. If I take NO2 minus will be 5 plus 1 by 2. It is going to be 3. So as a result, it will be sp2. So hybridization is different of these two species. So option 1 is not having same hybridization. So B option, if I take ClO4, SF4, ClO4 minus, SF4 and XeF2. So Cl is 7, monovalent atoms are 0, minus 1, so charge is added by 2, it is 8, so this is sp3, 8 by 2 is 4. SF4 sulfur has outermost electrons as 6, number of monovalent atoms are 4, 6 plus 4, no charge, so 2 it is 5, sp3d. So one is sp3, one is sp3d, so definitely hybridization is not same, even the second option is also not correct. The third one, NH4 plus, H3O plus and OF2. NH4 plus, H3O plus and OF2. So nitrogen has 5 electrons plus 4, charge minus 1 divided by 2. So it is 8 by 2 is equal to 4 sp3. In case of oxygen, the central atom is O here, is going to be 6 electrons. There are 3 monovalent atom minus 1 charge by 2. That's also 8 by 2. that's equal to 4, it's also sp3. And OF2, oxygen is the central atom, 6 is the outermost electron, 2 monovalent atom by 2, so 8 by 2, 4 sp3. So all are sp3 hybrid orbitals, but NH4 plus is all 4 bond pairs, so it is tetrahedral. In H3O plus there is one lone pair, so it is pyramidal. OF2 there are 2 lone pairs, as a result it is bend shape. So shapes are different, but the hybridization is same, so this is the correct option. If I go for the last option also, SO42 minus, SO42 minus, PO43 minus, and ClO4 minus. So here ClO4 minus, chlorine is 7, no monovalent atoms, plus 1, 8, so it's going to be 8 by 2 sp3. PO4 3 minus, this is 5, phosphorus, outermost electron is 5, no monovalent atoms, 5 plus 3, 8, 3 charge, 5 plus 3, 8 by 2, this is also sp3. SO4 2 minus, sulfur is 6, plus 2, 8 by 2, that's also sp3. So all three have same hybridization and all of them have same shape also. All of them are tetrahedral. As a result, that is not the correct option. So option should be C. In case of A and B, hybridizations are different. In case of C, hybridization is same but shapes are different. In D, hybridization and shape both are same. Assuming 2s and 2p orbitals of carbon are used in methane molecule, so hybridization is not used. If I assume like that, which of the statement is going to be false? So then the 3 px, py, pz are separately involved with 1s orbital of hydrogen, and one bond will be due to 2s of carbon and 1s of hydrogen, which is overlapped. So since p orbitals are directed at right angles to each other, 3 CH bonds should be at right angle to each other is a correct possibility. So 1 CH bond will be relatively weaker than 3 CH bonds. So 3 CH bonds are due to the overlap of 2p and 1s. The other one is 2s and 1s. So that bond is going to be relatively weaker. The shape of the molecule is tetrahedral. Tetrahedral geometry is obtained only when there is sp3 hybridization. Since p orbitals are at right angles to each other, the shape cannot be tetrahedral. So this is the wrong statement. And one CH bond which is formed due to SS overlap will be uncertain because it is symmetrical in all 3 dimensions. Where the bond is going to be oriented, it is difficult to say. So it is uncertain to other 3 CH bonds. So option should be C as the answer. So the structure can be different. So it is a conceptual question. So because of p orbitals are involved directly in bonding, the bond angle becomes 90 degrees to each other. The correct order of ClO bond length in the following ions. ClO bond length. So ClO minus, ClO2 minus, ClO3 minus, ClO4 minus. It's a concept of resonance. So I'll take ClO minus. ClO minus, this is bond order is 1. ClO2 minus, Cl1 double bond O and O minus. So it can have 2 resonating structure like this. So they're equally contributing. So bond order will be, this is 2, this is 1, and this is 1, this is 2. So in the both the structure, if I take this bond, we'll have 1, we'll have 2, 1 plus 2, this is 3 by 2, which is 1.5. So total number of bonds in all the resonating structures divided by total number of resonating structure will be the formula to find out bond order. Then ClO3. ClO3 will be Cl1 double bond O, 2 double bond O like this. So I can write three resonating structures for this. Sorry. Like this. So three resonating structures. So the bonds, if I take here 2, here 2, here 1. So bond order is 5 by 3. ClO4 minus. This is the structure. I can write 4 structures. Okay, so if I take these structures, this is 2, this is 2, this is 1, this is 2. So bond order is 7 by 4. So as the bond order increases from ClO minus to ClO4 minus, bond length also decreases from ClO minus to ClO4 minus. So the highest bond angle, bond length will be ClO minus, shortest bond would be ClO4 minus. So option should be C. ClO minus is the longest, ClO4 is the shortest. Option C is the correct answer. Intramolecular hydrogen bonding is not present in. Intramolecular hydrogen bonding is not present in. There are 4 molecules given: urea, salicylaldehyde, orthofluorophenol. So what is urea? We'll write the structure: NH2 C double bond O NH2. So the oxygen and nitrogen are bonded to hydrogen there, nitrogen, so you cannot have intramolecular, it can have intermolecular. This NH bond can be attracted to oxygen atom of another molecule of urea. This is the type of hydrogen bonding possible in urea. The second example is chloral hydrate. Chloral hydrate is CCl3 CH OH OH. If you write the structure, C Cl 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 CH OH. So I can have intramolecular hydrogen bonding like this, OH. So because of chlorine is also a strong electronegative element, further you have 2 more CCl2 attached to it, so electronegativity is increased, so this can enter into hydrogen bond like this. So it's an exceptional case where Cl is also part of hydrogen bonding. So chloral hydrate will have intramolecular hydrogen bonding. Then the other example was salicylaldehyde. Salicylaldehyde is benzene ring, C double bond OH, and it is OH. So this can be hydrogen bonding. Then another example given, orthofluorophenol. So orthofluorophenol, so OH and you have F. So this can be intramolecular hydrogen bonding. So apart from urea, every other molecule has intramolecular hydrogen bonding. So answer should be A. Which of the following molecule exists as dimer due to hydrogen bonding? So dimer due to hydrogen bonding, acetone in diethyl ether. So acetone will have CH3 C double bond O CH3. So this is in ether, cannot even have hydrogen bonding because ether is ROR. There is no OH bond anywhere, so it is not having hydrogen bonding. The second example, acetic acid in benzene. Acetic acid in benzene has a special property of undergoing dimerization. This you should have studied in physical chemistry in solution chapter. Extent of dimerization you calculate using the colligative properties. So OH1, this is a dimer state because benzene is a non-polar solvent. Solubility is not there for polar molecule like acetic acid. So it will exist as dimer so that it can independently exist as species. So intermolecular hydrogen bonding to form a dimer due to hydrogen bonding. This is the answer. Ethanol in water is inter. Ethanol is also has OH group. Water also has OH group. So there is going to be intermolecular hydrogen bonding present in ethanol in water. Orthonitrophenol can have intramolecular hydrogen bonding, but there is no dimerization due to hydrogen bonding. So among these, answer should be acetic acid in benzene. So these are some of the questions what I thought we can discuss based on periodic table and chemical bonding. Thank you.
Today we are going to discuss objective questions from S block elements. Let us take the first one. Which of the following does not produce any gaseous product when reacts with water? So one should know the reactions of these compounds with water. Let us see one by one. So calcium nitride Ca3N2, nitride plus water gives rise to, it forms calcium hydroxide plus ammonia. So nitrides will liberate ammonia upon hydrolysis. Calcium carbide CaC2 plus water. Calcium carbide also gives calcium hydroxide, and then this liberates acetylene gas, that is C2H2, ethane gas. Calcium oxide will not liberate a gas, it dissolves in water forming calcium hydroxide. When you take calcium phosphide, that is Ca3P2, this hydrolyzes in water, means it dissolves, and then this also forms calcium hydroxide, and then it liberates phosphine gas, PS3 gas. So nitrides on hydrolysis give us ammonia. Carbides, depending upon the metal, they will give us the gas. Means aluminium carbide, it gives us methane gas. Here it is given as calcium carbide, so that gives us acetylene gas. Calcium oxide dissolves and forms calcium hydroxide. Calcium phosphide dissolves and forms phosphine gas. So question is, which does not produce any gaseous product? Implies calcium oxide does not produce any gaseous product. So therefore answer is option C. Calcium oxide does not produce any gaseous product. Select the correct order of hydration energy of the ions. Hydration energy decreases down the group. Hydration energy is decreased down the group because hydration energy depends on charge density. Down the group, charge density decreases and therefore hydration energy decreases. Let us take options one by one. So lithium, sodium, potassium. So definitely this is a lithium will be having highest because of greater charge density. Then sodium, then potassium. So answer A itself is the answer here now. So answer is A. Lithium, sodium, potassium, the order of hydration enthalpies. Select the correct one about the solubility of hydroxides. Solubility of hydroxides. Hydroxide solubility increases down the group. Hydroxide solubility increases down the group. Therefore, calcium hydroxide will have higher solubility when compared to magnesium hydroxide because it is increasing down the group. So option A is correct. Then, which alkali metal forms bicarbonate only in aqueous solution? Which alkali metal means first group metal forms? See, except lithium, remaining elements form solid bicarbonates. Only lithium forms bicarbonate in its aqueous solution. So answer is option A, that is lithium. So lithium forms bicarbonate only in aqueous solution. Which of the following pair of compounds, their melting point difference is lowest? In which pair we have a very much lesser melting point difference. For this, we should know the order of melting points among the chlorides of the first group metals. Let us see the order of melting points. So NaCl is having more than potassium chloride, more than RbCl, more than CaCl. Then finally it comes lithium chloride we have. So cesium chloride, lithium chloride are closer to each other now. So they have a very much lesser melting point difference. Suppose you take sodium chloride and then lithium chloride here, they have a large melting point difference is there between these two. Question is, which pair has a lowest melting point difference? So therefore it is cesium chloride and then lithium chloride, implies option D is the correct answer now. So lithium chloride and cesium chloride is the answer. Then which of the following sulfates is most stable for the following change? Most stable for the following change. Stability of sulfates increases down the group. Stability of sulfates increases down the group, and therefore the last element or the heavier element in that group will form a stable sulfate. That implies barium sulfate is going to be most stable. Hence, BaSO4 is the answer. Option D is the answer for that. Then next one. Option D here. An inorganic compound Y which produces brick red coloration as a flame. When X dissolves in water, produces alkaline solution and also gives a combustible gas. So X dissolves in water and produces alkaline solution and combustible gas. Now here the inorganic compound is giving brick red coloration. Brick red is the property of the calcium now. So calcium gives brick red coloration now. So it should be a calcium compound. And then it is giving a combustible gas. Combustible gas given in options is a H2 gas, a combustible gas, and therefore the reaction must be like this. Calcium hydride, which is a commercial source of hydrogen gas, calcium hydride means, plus H2O gives rise to, it forms calcium hydroxide and then liberates H2 gas. So H2 gas is a combustible gas and calcium gives brick red coloration, so it should be a calcium compound giving H2 gas. So option is D. So option D is correct. So next one, that is D here. Identify the false statement. Identify the false statement. Lithium iodide is more covalent than lithium fluoride. Among the halides, large size of anion will always have more covalent character. Large size of anion will have more covalent character. And so size of the iodide ion is very much larger when compared to size of the fluoride ion. Therefore, iodide is going to have more covalent character. Implies first one is a correct statement. Then sodium metal when burnt in air, when burnt in excess of oxygen, gives only sodium oxide. They have taken here excess of oxygen. So actually excess of oxygen means the compound formed will be Na2O2 will form. It forms sodium peroxide in excess of oxygen. So false statement must be B. Then metallic sodium is used for drying diethyl ether but not ethanol. Because sodium reacts with ethanol and produces H2 gas. So therefore metallic sodium cannot be used for drying of ethanol. It can be used only for drying of diethyl ether is also correct statement. The softness of group 1 metals increases down the group. Softness increasing down the group. That is, it increases down the group because softness depends upon the metallic bond strength. And metallic bond strength is decreasing down the group. Therefore, softness of the metals also increases down the group. Let's say option is B in this case. We have answer is B. Then sodium as compared to potassium. Sodium as compared to potassium. So they are comparing electronegativity, atomic radius, and ionization potential and melting point. Now here the properties electronegativity, then ionization potential, then melting points. These properties will be decreasing down the group. These three properties, that is electronegativity, then ionization potential, then melting points, are decreasing down the group. And atomic size will be increasing down the group. This is regarding the variation of the properties down the group. Now, sodium has definitely more electronegativity when compared to this. So A is not correct. Sodium has more ionization potential than potassium because down the group IP values are decreasing and therefore sodium is having higher value. So option B is correct. Sodium cannot have larger size when compared to potassium, and sodium having a lower melting point is not correct. Sodium has higher melting point when compared to potassium. So option is B here now. Then carbon dioxide along with solid Y is obtained when sodium salt of X is heated. When sodium salt of X is heated, carbon dioxide gas and a solid Y is obtained. X again is obtained when carbon dioxide gas is passed into aqueous solution. X again is obtained when we are passing carbon dioxide gas through an aqueous solution of Y. What are X and Y here? Now here, heating sodium salt of X. Sodium salt here, carbonates of sodium. Carbonates are stable. First group carbonates are stable except lithium, whereas first group bicarbonates are thermally less stable. So first group bicarbonates are thermally less stable and therefore bicarbonate on heating will dissociate now. So that is to say, reaction will be like this. Sodium bicarbonate, so NaHCO3 on heating will dissociate to form sodium carbonate plus carbon dioxide plus water we have. So this is the X for us and this compound is Y. And again, X again is obtained when carbon dioxide gas is passed into aqueous solution of Y. So when you take an aqueous solution of Y, that is, when you take a solution of sodium carbonate plus water and then pass carbon dioxide gas through that, then you are going to get sodium bicarbonate. It will form NaHCO3. This is Y here and this is X. Again X is going to be obtained. So implies the answer is sodium bicarbonate and then sodium carbonate we have. So answer is C here now. Sodium bicarbonate and then sodium carbonate. Then, which of the following oxides is not expected to react with sodium hydroxide? Not expected to react with sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide nature is basic. Sodium hydroxide is basic in nature. Let us see the nature of all other compounds now. Calcium oxide is also basic in nature. Calcium oxide is basic in nature. Now silica B2O3. Silica is a acidic compound. Silica is acidic in nature. B2O3 also acidic in nature. And whereas BeO is amphoteric in nature. Now sodium hydroxide being basic here, it can react with acidic compounds as well as amphoteric compounds. Will not react with another basic compound. Therefore, sodium hydroxide will not react with calcium oxide. Sodium hydroxide will not react with calcium oxide. That is to say, option A is correct. So answer is A here now. Then, which of the following statements is incorrect? Which of the following statements is incorrect? Pure sodium metal dissolves in liquid ammonia to give blue colored solution. So sodium dissolves and form blue colored solution is a correct statement only. NaOH reacts with the glass and gives sodium silicate. NaOH dissolves in glass and forms sodium silicate. Glass consists of silica in that and therefore NaOH can react with the glass and form sodium silicate. Aluminium reacts with excess of sodium hydroxide forming aluminium hydroxide. Is reacting with excess of NaOH forming aluminium hydroxide. Here in option C, when aluminium reacts with excess of NaOH, it forms sodium metaaluminate, it forms NaAlO2 will form, but not aluminum hydroxide. And sodium bicarbonate on heating gives Na2CO3. Just now we have seen the previous question itself. So finally the incorrect statement is option C, that is aluminum reacts with excess of NaOH. It forms sodium metaaluminate but not aluminum hydroxide. So answer is option C we have. So C is the option here. Then what are the products formed when water containing magnesium bicarbonate is boiled? Water containing magnesium bicarbonate is asking about the hardness, softness, hardness of the water. Means it is nothing but temporary hardness because you have magnesium bicarbonate here. So when you have a solution having magnesium bicarbonate on heating, direct reaction, that is, so magnesium bicarbonate on heating will give us magnesium carbonate plus CO2 plus H2O. So magnesium bicarbonate on heating gives rise to, it gives us magnesium carbonate plus CO2 plus H2O. Therefore, the option D. D has all the three components in that. So answer is D. Option is D for us. So therefore, magnesium carbonate, carbon dioxide and water. Which of the following salts on heating gives mixture of two gases? Which are the following salts on heating give mixture of two gases? Mixture of two gases. When you take first option, say barium nitrate, when you are heating barium nitrate, BaNO3 taken twice. This on heating, it gives us barium oxide plus gives nitrogen dioxide plus it forms barium oxide, nitrogen dioxide, it also forms oxygen gas now. Oxygen gas is giving two gases now, barium nitrate upon heating. Whereas other elements will not give us two gases now. They form oxide as well as oxygen gas. They form oxides, they form metal oxides. They won't give us two mixture of two gases here. So barium nitrate itself is the answer. It forms two gases here now. That is NO2 as well as O2. Then when it comes to which of the following, the 15th one, which of the following metals dissolve in KOH and with evolution of hydrogen gas? Which of the following metals dissolve in evolution? So if we see the options given, calcium, magnesium, strontium, as well as beryllium is given to us. Beryllium metal as well as corresponding oxides are amphoteric in nature, whereas these are completely basic in nature. That is, calcium, magnesium and strontium are basic in nature. Therefore, the beryllium dissolves in KOH and produces hydrogen gas. Dissolves in KOH and produces hydrogen gas.